Hello, my little rain clouds. My mum has insurance. She has paid hundreds of thousands of dollars over decades in insurance premiums. Now, I'm a poor millennial. I don't have insurance. I don't understand it, and I certainly don't have it. But from my understanding of insurance, it seems like a bit of a scam, really, because she's paid loads of money time after time after time, so that if something bad happens, she will hopefully be covered by her insurance, and they will pay out some money to help her handle whatever the problem is. She's got all kinds of insurance. She's got car insurance, she's got home and contents insurance, she's got health insurance, life insurance, death insurance, whatever. She's got loads of stuff. And yet she's made very, very few claims. She's, I think, gotten into a car crash and had to have the car replaced, and maybe like once or twice some other things, but largely she hasn't really done much with her insurance. She hasn't claimed very much at all. And sometimes I'll spot some damage on her house or something, and I'll say, hey Mum, maybe you should claim that on insurance, or get someone to help you take care of that thing that just happened. And she'll say no, because that will drive up my premiums and I'll have to pay more money. My insurance will become more expensive. It's not worth claiming it. Which, to me, seems like it kind of defeats the point of having the insurance. And at a certain point, I think you have to kind of ask yourself, how much have I actually been paying in insurance? And would I have just been better off not paying the insurance and just saving that money? And then in the off chance that something bad happens, I would have had that money to handle the problem. And it's about risk and reward and, weighing up the costs and the benefits and how likely certain things are to happen and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't seem like stuff has really happened that often. And it seems like you're paying a lot, month after month, for something that may not ever really happen. And even if it does happen, you don't claim it because it's going to make it even more expensive in the future. So you only save it for really big things, I guess. And even then, sometimes the insurance companies screw you over and they don't pay out the claim, and they'll say it was an act of God, or this thing isn't covered, or whatever. And so you don't know that you're ever truly covered and secure about what might happen. And then also, if you stop paying, all that money that you paid just goes to waste. You don't get it back. Your insurance just stops. So it doesn't seem like a great investment of money. Admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about insurance, but that's my takeaway from it, is that it doesn't seem fantastic. And so it's got me thinking about how people act in their day-to-day lives, and especially with relationships. I see a lot of people who have low self-esteem, low self-worth, abandonment issues, fear of rejection. And they're kind of doing this. They're kind of paying for rejection insurance. And yet, they never claim. They never get back the premiums that they've been investing. So they're constantly losing money. They're suffering this cost for no benefit. And so I thought I'd ramble on a little bit about this, because it doesn't seem like a great way to go about life. Often people have been hurt. Often as early children, they've experienced some hurt, some rejection. Someone was cruel to them, someone mocked them, they invested themselves in a relationship or expected something of someone, and their hopes were dashed, or the person treated them poorly, or someone said something mean, or whatever it was. Might have been something as serious as abuse or trauma. It may have just been getting laughed at school or something, although that can be traumatic, of course. But often there are these events that happen to us when we're very young, and they hurt a lot. We're rejected in some way by our parents, our peers, our siblings, who knows. And we're very young, and we don't have coping mechanisms or maturity or experience to handle the hurt that comes from that rejection. It overwhelms us. We are social creatures. We live in tribes, we live in groups, and the idea of being rejected, being cast out from that tribe, is a terrifying one. It not only threatens our sense of self-worth and identity, but it also threatens our very survival. We depend upon others to keep us safe, to provide for us, to help us. And indeed, as children, we are especially sensitive to that. We need our parents to take care of us. We need people to look after us, to provide for us, to protect us. And so the idea of rejection is a really terrifying one. We see this in child abuse, where the child will literally, involuntarily suppress memories of abusive parents because their brain just goes, we need this person to survive. We can't rock the boat. We just have to go along with this. So the idea of rejection is a terrifying, threatening one. And our little brains, they come up with stories. They come up with models of the world, with models of people, with theories of what happened and why it happened, and how we can try and prevent this rejection in the future. And often, these theories, these predictions, these stories, they're not accurate. They're not great, because a tiny little child came up with them. We don't understand things, but our brain makes a guess about what might have happened. We tell ourselves stories about how things were our fault, about how if we'd done something else different, then this wouldn't have happened. We tell ourselves the kind of things that we need to do in order to stay safe from rejection. And again, these aren't necessarily accurate or factual. They're not necessarily things that are true at all. They're just things that we believe. But nevertheless, we can take them throughout our entire lives and live according to them. And we may not ever examine them. We may not challenge them or think, is that actually true? We just live according to those childhood stories. And throughout life, again and again, our brains will act on those beliefs, interpreting things that happen, looking for things that confirm or support those theories we have, ignoring things that don't really align with them or possibly even disprove them. The more that we go on, the more that we tell ourselves these narratives, the more solidified they become in our minds. And so we tell ourselves again and again that we're dumb, that we're bad, we're stupid, we're incapable, we're annoying, we're burdensome, unlovable, that we don't deserve things, that will drive people away. We tell ourselves all sorts of horrible things under the mistaken assumption that it will protect us from rejection that we may think is inevitable, that some horrible disaster is going to happen like it did when we were a child. And we couldn't handle it then. It overwhelmed us. So any rejection disaster that happens now, even if we're well into our 50s, is going to be absolutely disastrous, and we won't be able to handle it. When, of course, that isn't necessarily the case. We probably changed quite a lot since that time when we were small children. We've learned a lot. We've developed support systems. We've discovered so much more about the world, about ourselves. We've developed skills, coping mechanisms. But still, we anticipate rejection. We think we know when it might come or why it might come, based on these models and predictions that we have from childhood. And we tell ourselves, consciously or unconsciously, that the way to circumvent these things, to prevent them from happening, is to take certain steps. certain behaviours, like keeping our distance in a relationship, not letting people get too close, playing it cool, not letting ourselves be too attached to someone or telling them how we really feel, telling ourselves to reject any compliments, any kindness, any acts of love, to say, no, that person's probably just being nice. You should still anticipate rejection. They're not being true. They're not being sincere or truthful. It's just kindness or a mistake or an elaborate prank or something. Definitely anticipate rejection. Don't let people get close to you. Don't get close to others. Don't make yourself vulnerable. Don't interact with new people. Don't try and meet new people. Don't communicate your needs to others. Don't rock the boat. Don't ever speak up if there's a problem. Just be polite. Just play it cool. Be chill. Don't be a burden. Don't lean on people or show them vulnerability. Because that's the way the rejection happens. Just keep your distance. Close yourself off. Shut everything out, build up walls, and then rejection surely won't happen. And of course, there's a bit of irony to this. That is, those things tend to cause rejection. Because we can't be in a relationship with someone who's like that. It's very difficult. It's frustrating. It's hurtful. If someone is constantly refuting the kind, loving things that you're saying, if they disagree with the things that you say you like about them, that is hurtful and upsetting. And of course, when you're constantly denying yourself these things, when you're not letting in any goodness, any praise, any expression of love or loyalty or connectedness, you feel like crap about yourself. Your self-esteem, your self-worth is going to be terrible. And you're not going to believe that you are worthy of someone's love or someone's care or friendship or loyalty. And so you will be very insecure in a relationship. You will be constantly anticipating rejection because you feel that you are worthless, that you have nothing to offer this person. So why would they stay with you? Why would they not reject you? Particularly if you do end up becoming, quote-unquote, burdensome. If you express needs, if you ask them to do things or stop doing things, if you make any kind of fuss at all, if you rock the boat at all, make any waves, they're going to reject you because you feel worthless, because you believe that you're worthless. And anytime someone says, hey, you have worth to me, you say, no, they must be lying. Don't believe them, don't give in to that. Anticipate rejection. Pay the rejection insurance. Keep paying your premiums, because one day rejection might happen and you need to be prepared for it. You need to be prepared for it so it doesn't catch you off your guard and devastate you like it did when you were a child. It may not have been when you were a child, but it often is. And of course, throughout your life, there will be things that confirm the narratives that you tell yourself. Because your brain is constantly looking for them. It will look for any signal that you're going to be rejected. It will look for any evidence that you don't have worth or value, that you are a burden, or that you're irritating or undesirable or whatever else. And if someone is mean or abusive or cruel or just had a bad day, and they tell you something resembling that, your brain will take that as a huge pile of evidence that says, yes, see, I was right. My suspicions are confirmed. The theory is accurate. Rejection is coming. We are worthless. We need to keep paying our premiums. And it's going to ignore all of the evidence to the contrary, because that doesn't fit in. And because the risk of believing that you have worth, or that people can love you, or that you can have solid relationships with them, it's too great a risk. Because what if you believe it and then you get hurt? Surely it's going to hurt even more. So no, we got to pay the premium. We got to pay the cost, the daily cost of cutting ourselves down, of telling ourselves horrible things, of being cruel to ourselves, of keeping people at bay, of not having the connection that we need, Keep paying those premiums, because surely it's protecting you so much from the loss that you know is coming, from the rejection that you just anticipate is inevitable. So you keep paying the premiums. But unfortunately, they're never going to pay out. In fact, by paying those premiums, you are denying yourself the emotional currency, if you like, that would actually help you to deal with any rejection that does come up. If you hadn't paid those premiums year after year for decades, then you might have a better sense of self-worth and self-esteem. You might have close relationships that you can draw on to support yourself. You might have a healthier way of being and of handling any potential rejection. Instead, you're flat broke because you've been paying those premiums year after year, day after day. And you don't have the reserves to draw upon to handle rejection if it does end up coming. You aren't preparing yourself for rejection. You're actually making it hurt you twice. Because not only does rejection sting when it happens, yeah, it's meant to hurt. It's meant to tell you, I don't like this. This is important to me. Something bad is happening. I don't like being rejected. It's meant to hurt. But not only are you experiencing that hurt, you're also experiencing, see, I told you. All that hurt that you've been experiencing for decades, it was true. It confirms every bad thing you've ever said about yourself. And every bad thing that you've focused in on that someone said or done. It hurts you twice as much, if not more. And you don't have the self-worth to withstand that, to say, okay, yeah, wow, that really hurt that I was rejected, but I'm a good person because of this and this and this. I've got these people in my life. These people love me. I'm a valued member of this group. I've got these good qualities. Instead of having the resilience and the fortitude to handle it, to be able to cope with that rejection, you've been hurting yourself for decades. You've been saying horrible things that undermine your sense of self-worth, that make you less capable of handling it. We tell ourselves that we're incapable, that we're worthless and weak and unlovable, and that makes us less able to handle the rejection, not more. Paying the premiums of that rejection insurance cripples us, and it never yields dividends. You will never claim back a single dollar. We tell ourselves that we will be safer and more secure by not letting people get close, but the truth is, we're not. We're just denying ourselves a good life. Because there's always going to be some risk of rejection and hurt. But we're never taking a gamble to win. We're just trying to lose less. And in the end, that's how we lose. Because we never win anything. We never give ourselves the opportunity to win. We don't give ourselves the opportunity to have meaningful relationships. By telling ourselves that we're replaceable, that we're imminently going to get rejected, we deny ourselves the ability to be loved and to feel loved. We don't fully embrace that love. And that love is there. Everyone has the potential to be loved. Everyone deserves to be loved. But if we hold ourselves back because we fear the rejection is coming, we will never have that love. And we will already have that rejection. We are rejecting ourselves. We are already anticipating the rejection and saying that I'm unlovable, that this person doesn't love me, they can't love me. You hurt yourself before anything could even happen. We anticipate this gigantic, colossal catastrophe, this huge rejection event, but we're actually just experiencing a tiny fraction of that day after day after day, as though it's somehow inoculating us, that we're getting some rejection vaccine so that when the real thing happens, it won't be as bad, but it will. It hurts just as much, if not more. And I would say a lot more, because again, it hits all of those things that you've been telling yourself, all of those wounds that you've been opening. And I don't say this to blame, because people are often unaware that they're doing it, which is the whole point. That's why I'm talking about this, because we need to be more aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it, so that we can stop ourselves, so that we can challenge those thoughts that come up, those urges to isolate ourselves, to withdraw, to say, oh no, I better slink away with my tail between my legs so that this person doesn't reject me even more, because I'm already feeling rejected, because I'm reading into the things that they're saying and the things that they're doing and saying, oh, see, they're rejecting me, they don't like me, I'm unlovable, I'm worthless, when really, that's not happening. Your brain is just looking for any sign of rejection, an early warning system, a smoke detector that is way, way too sensitive. Anytime you even begin making toast, it already sounds the alarm and calls the fire brigade. That rejection isn't coming. It's very unlikely to come, and if it does, I promise you that you can handle it better than you did before. It will not be the same devastating thing that it was then. Yes, it will hurt, as it is meant to do, but it will not kill you. You are your own person. You are much bigger than you were then. You have skills, experience, and wisdom and maturity to help you handle that better than you did back then. And those are things that you can gain even more of. You can grow more. You can learn more skills. You can learn how to handle rejection better. And you can share with people around you, terrifying as that prospect may be. They can help you to deal with that rejection. Because we long to connect with each other. We are social people. We live in tribes for a reason. Everyone needs connection, and everyone is afraid of rejection. I am. Everyone I know is. But nevertheless, we need to take that chance. We need to stop paying rejection insurance premiums and start using that money to live, to nourish ourselves, to do the things that we want to do in life, to give ourselves the opportunities for everything that will fulfill us and make life worth living. Because living in constant fear and stopping yourself from ever taking a chance is the only guaranteed way to lose. We need to shift to a mindset that aims to win rather than to not lose, or to prevent as many losses as possible, to reduce the impact of those losses. Because rejection's always going to be there. It's always going to be a possibility. But your brain is making the decision to reject yourself and the other person far in advance of that ever happening. And that rejection does damage. Day after day, it adds up. It chips away at your soul, at your sense of self-worth, at your ability to be in relationships. That slowly kills you. You don't deserve that. And you don't need to be protected like that. You are stronger than you realize, and you can handle far more than you give yourself credit for. You have been through worse and survived it, and you are more capable than you ever have been. And you are still growing and still learning and still improving. And yes, rejection may happen, but there will be people that you meet who love you, who see the wonderful things about you and say, yeah, that's my person. That's who I want in my life. And you need to keep going to try and meet those people, to find them and gather them and collect them and bring them close to you and fill your life with them. Because we all need that, and we all deserve that. And insurance is a scam. At least rejection insurance. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of suffering. And you don't need it.